know.
I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Good morning. We are blessed to be here. Another blessed Sunday, even though it's foggy outside, but our minds should be cloudy on the inside. As she was mentioning that and think about what happened, you know, God is a God that you got to trust and believe. If you don't trust and believe him, why serve him? So he works on not on your time. In the lessons they show you, he works on his own time. He let you go through things. Do you really believe him? Do you really trust him? It's easy to say, okay, I got this him. But when those times come when you really need him, that's when God say, I'm here. In our lesson, it says the same thing. And we think about what we happened last week, we look at the book of Isaiah. When you think about Isaiah, he was telling these same people there, God sent him to these people here. And he said, all you got to do is listen to what God tells you. And look what happened. As we get into this book here, which is the first of the Bible, say, you know, you got the two books divided there. So here we are here. He's telling them in this part of the book here, those little small one, we said, okay, put all of them together. It will come out to the book of Isaiah. So he said, these are the minor prophets. So what are we doing now? We begin in one of those minor prophets there. The major prophet. Now we're talking about the minor prophet. And you put them all together. But here's the catcher. When he told them that, and 100 years later, 100 years later, the same people that had God had delivered and went through the same thing. You remember what Isaiah told him? He told him, he said, look, if you don't do right, God gonna raise up a nation. Did he raise him up? Yes, he did. He raised up the Assyrian right here. Why did he raise him up? Because his people didn't want to do right. He said, I tell you what, I'm going to raise up somebody that's going to make you do right. That's what he did right here with the Assyrian. As we get into this lesson and think about what it says on this lesson today, the first thing we come up with says, the consequence of justice. What are you talking about, the consequence of justice? You know, the consequence means you're going to pay the price. When you pay the price of what you're doing wrong, that's the price behind it. The first thing that comes to my mind is some of us when we were small. You know we done wrong. And what was that consequence of that? You got that whipping because you done wrong. Now, did it come right in? Sometimes it did. Sometimes it didn't. But one thing you know, that whipping was coming. Well, here's the same thing my wife was saying. One thing you know, God gonna give it back to you. He gonna give it, but when he gonna give it on his own time. Now, what I did not do, my mama tell me go out there and get that switch. I'm going to get a switch for her to work me with. Did you like that? A little one. You gonna get a little one, but you make sure that you that one right. Go get them tough. And what would you do? Make this thing together. So you know it was coming. So in this lesson here, Nahum is telling him, if you don't do right, God is coming. And if you think about this lesson, in order to get to this lesson, we got to get to where we were to get him. Where were we? Well, we got to go back to one old man in the Testament. Who was that old man that laid up his him? Old Jonah. What did Jonah do? Jonah, he fled because he refused to do what God told him to do. Now, what reason did Jonah do that? Because Jonah knows these same people that we are talking about today were so wicked that he didn't want to go there. And the other thing Jonah knew, those same people were so wicked that when they killed him, when he dead, they would stick a stick through your back and all the way up to your neck. Those are those same people that Jonah said, I'm not going there. Because I know if they know that I'm coming there, what they're going to do to me. But God said, I want you to go where? Go to Nineveh. Here we are today talking about Nineveh and Assyria. Go there. Because I want you to go there because I'm going to turn those people around. And Jonah said, I know. If I go there and I do what God said, what are those people going to do? They're going to turn around and come to what? God. So Jonah said, I don't want you to do that, God. I want you to punish those people. So here comes Nahum and all. Look, 100 years after Jonah, And here come Nahum, Uncle John, here come Nahum, preaching that same thing. We had some of those prophets, about 3 of them came before him, telling them the same thing what God said. And here we are today with the same thing talking about that. So what he said, I'm going to tell you, and if you don't do what I tell you, who is coming? God is coming. And when he comes, he's coming. And I like about when God comes, you don't wait. You know, some things that we can get away with, but when God gets to that point to my right, when he gets to that point and he coming, he is coming. It's just a matter of what time, and Lee Williams said, it's just a matter of time when God comes. He's coming, but what we got to do is make sure that we have ourselves in divine order. So what are he doing? He's giving us more time. The things that we're going through, what the Bible says, we're going through these what? Trials, and we're going through these what? Tribulations. So if you don't have no trials and tribulation, you just think everything is all right. Back in the day, those people, our folks as Marcus, Dr. King, they went through things just for us to get where we are right now. And what are we doing? We're doing it just like those people that did. We think that we at the top of the mountain, we're not even close to the top of the mountain, but we go back. When you look at this lesson and think about the consequence of justice, one thing came to my mind when I saw that subject, consequence of justice, it's just like we do. What do we do? I get out here and speak, knowing it's wrong. But what happened when I get caught? You get a ticket. So what is that? That's that consequence. You made the consequence. The justice is that what? Ticket you're going to get. So what it is, you're already out there. You know better. I know better. But if I can get away with it, what am I going to do? I'm going to do it. So these people here, they knew about God's problem. But what they're going to do, they're going to keep doing it. So what Nahum tell them, that's all right. If you don't do what I say, you're going to pay the price. That's what I like about that deal. You know, we get into this here and think about what this lesson said. When God said he's going to raise up a nation that's going to take care of them, he did. That's what the seal. Then he said down to Nineveh and Jonah. And we get there, we see that Nahum go there. Tell Nahum, I want you, Nahum, to go there. And what was up? He lived in a place not too far from where they were, to deliver God's words to them. The first thing we got, look at the first time he said, a jealous God. What did that tell me? God is jealous. God is a jealous God. What does that mean? Put no God before me. What God would they put before him? All them idols God. That's what they were doing down in Nineveh. They put all them idols God before him. They had everything before him. What do we do today? Same thing. You know, the more we say it, it's the same thing, repetition. We put everything before God. What do we put before God? Our cars. What do we put before God? Our house, children. And some people put their money. Some people put their good looks. Some people put their job. You know, we put everything before God. But this subject right here tells us what? God is a what? A jealous God, which means you don't put nothing before God. You let God have it all. When you put something before God, he can be all rough. He can be all rough. You're going to see today, God is rough. When he brings his wrath, there's no wrath like God's wrath. What are we talking about? First, we got a jealous God. Let's see, Rita, what we have here?
The burden of Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum the Elkoshite.
Look how he tells us. The burden. Now, you know what burden is. Burden is heavyweight. The burden of Nineveh. Then he tells us what? He was Nahum, the Elkoshite. He didn't tell who he was. This was a little place that said not too far from Nineveh. So what he do? Nahum, I want you to go there. Not only I want you to go there, but I want you to deliver my word to them. Now, when you do that and deliver that word to them, this is what he says. He says in Exodus 25, I like this. For I, the Lord thy God, am a what? A jealous God. By being a jealous God, Nahum was telling them, God is coming. I want you to listen to what I tell you. Now, I want you to listen. I want you to do what I tell you because he is coming. And that next verse, read, what does it tell us?
God is jealous, and the Lord revengeth in his furies. The Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies.
He is a jealous God. He get revenge, and when he gets that, God can be furious. And when he is furious, he's going to take revenge against his adversary. Now, he's telling them, If you do what I tell you to do, God gonna deliver you from where you're at. Remember, these are those soul Judah, that southern kingdom that he told you. Lay it down now. He said, now you do what I tell you to do. God gonna come and deliver you, because if you do what God say, he not only gonna deliver you, he's gonna protect you, because God got that vengeance. And you know the vengeance of God is so bad that it's cut like a sword. And that's bad, because he don't play. No, we said earlier, our mama made a calendar for 50 things, but God, he don't get it. He got it written down in that book. And when he come back, he gonna get you. These people right here, what he's saying on that adversary. And God is a furious God. And when he say he reserved his wrath for his enemy, I don't want to be an enemy of God. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be an enemy of God, because God got power that no man knows. Because God got power. If you don't believe he got power, think about Solomon Gomorrah. Did he have the power? What did he do? He destroyed that place. So you don't want the power of God. You know, we're going to lift stuff now, but you don't want to get to that point where God say, you are my enemy. And what I do, he works on his own time. God's time is not like our time. The things that we're going through, he just tests you. He just testing your faith and see how much faith do you have in him. You know, we can talk a good game, but when it comes down to playing, I know some people know all about coaching, but they don't know how to coach. They know all about it. God's telling us, I don't want you to play with me. I want you to be real with me. And when you be real with me, I'm going to protect you. You don't want to see the wrath of God. And the next verse, reader, what does it tell us?
The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked.
Look what it says. It takes something to get God mad. He is slow to anger, not like us. God will let you go ahead and let's take it on his own time. When you think that God is real, he's slow to anger there. How do you know God is slow to anger? Because we know that. He already said that when the God is slow to anger. When you think about Jonah, what happened? Jonah said he ran. God didn't worry about that. God just let Jonah get out there. Let that fish got Jonah. Look how he still went angry. But Jonah was mad because Jonah knew where he was going and know what those people are, and God still went angry. So God is real slow to anger, and when he get angry, he is something else when he get angry. When he brings his anger down, God is the worst somebody to get angry. We have seen things. How do you know that? Look at some of the things that happen. When God has said, that's enough. When God says enough, he destroys something. He just don't let it stay there. He destroys. So that's something that anger of God. You don't want to get on God's bad side. It's just that simple. Because when you get on God's bad side, there's no man can intervene. Deacon said you are in trouble right here. These people, Nineveh, they were some kind of serious. Nineveh was a beautiful place, they said. Everything came through Nineveh. The lovely place. But the thing Nineveh had, they worshiped the false god. They didn't believe in God. They did all kind of adulterous things. And when God said, I had enough. So Nahum, I want you to go and tell them that. That's enough. Now, if they don't do it, I'm coming. Do you know how God comes? Let's see how God comes. He came with Noah, didn't he? What did he do? He sent the flood. Isn't that something? So what did the flood? And what the flood do? Everybody except Noah family. So what was that? God had enough. When God has enough, God is coming. He don't come like us. God come with destruction. God come with his wrath. So what he do? He giving us a chance to get ourselves in order. He gave them a chance. How? By sending the prophet. He had sent 3 prophets before him. And they still didn't want to do right. So he sent this prophet by him. Nahum. Tell him, Nahum, that I'm coming. And he said, he is not going to quit the wicked. What does that mean? He's not going to go. God not going to give you a free pass when you do wrong. He's not going to do that. He is not the kind of God. Think about it. If God gives you a free pass, God will be no more than us. Because what? We do stuff like that. But God will make you pay for your wickedness. He doesn't do that. We would do stuff like that. This thing here is about what? Justice today. What we said last week about our justice. Man, justice say, if I know you, if I know your pain, if I know who you are, if I know your job, and you come before me, I'm gonna be leaning on you. But what did God say? Wrong is still wrong. You can't take a wrong in God and make it right. He don't go like that. God knows what the word young folks said. He don't bounce like that. Am I in the house with young folks? Okay. God don't bounce like that. But that's the way we bounce. You know, I try to think of a little stuff from young folks too. But God don't bounce like that. God don't play. If God said wrong is wrong, wrong is wrong. He's not going to tell you, that's all right. You're doing wrong, but that's all right. God doesn't work that way. Right here, he tells us, if you're wicked, you're going to pay the price. And you don't want to pay that price. And after that, anybody else got something to say? Wow. Well, here is a question. The question says, how can a message of joy can also be one of comfort and hope? How can that message be of comfort and hope to us? A message of joy. How can it be comfort and hope? Ms. Tracy? God, she said, forewarn us that things is coming. You know, when things was good, let's go back 2 years ago, when things got good to us. What happened? Folks stopped going to church. They stopped serving God. Everybody was doing their own thing. The warning is here. What is the warning? COVID. He letting you know, if you think COVID is bad, let's keep on doing wrong. And then once we got through with this COVID, what they call it? Omicron. Look what happened. After you think you got one thing, there come another thing. Keep on doing wrong. But all you got to do is do what's it. That's trusting who? Trusting God. We're talking about to save people. You know, some folks, no matter what happens, they're not going to be saved. They don't want to be saved. But we're talking about the people that want to be saved. We got to come back to where we started from, come back to God. So by coming back to God and knowing that, how does that give you some comfort of hope? What is your comfort of hope? Even if you do what God told you to do, you can stay positive even through the virus. Even what come up on you, you still can stay positive because of what? Because of who? Because of God. You know that if God said it, what that song said? He said, if God said it, that's seldom. So if God said, I'm gonna put these trials and tribulations upon you, but in the end, you're gonna come through. So is that hope right there? I know it's hope because when I got sick, I can speak about myself. When I got sick with the UTI, and what happened? God brought me through it. Some people got sick with that COVID, and what happened? God brought them through it. Rose got five in the back, and what happened? God brought her through it. Why did God bring you through it? Because you know He said it. He said it, and He said it, and He would what? He would do it. If God said it, God will do it. If I said it, I told you I have sometimes selective amnesia. I may forget about it. But if God said it, He don't have the selective amnesia. God gonna do it. Every promise that He made, did He keep it? Everything you read about the Bible, God promised. He kept every one He made. So if He kept it back there, what did that tell me? Because what it said, He's the same when, yesterday, today, and when, forevermore. So what do I got to do? Trust. Isn't that comfort of hope? And with that being said, here's number two. Number two says, we know.
And my neighbor had a radio. They followed me with a Stronghold. He coming through Duncan. They called me. They told me, let's get up. Call me. I said, all right. I said, thank you. I see because I know. I did. When the sun shine, I did right. And why should I feel so bad about it now? I don't about to sleep with it. They running through the house over there trying to get the tub.
That's right. And what I like about it, since he mentioned that, as a son, I said, sitting up my temple, you know, every day I sit up my temple. So when those storms come, all I got to do is just what he said, I lay comfort and go sleep. Now my wife, she'll sleep a while. But me, when that time comes, I go to sleep because I know what happened. That same God that carried me when the sun shines, gonna protect me when the storm. The thing about it, if it's my time to go in that storm, no matter where I go, he's still gonna get me if it's my time. But think about it, I need to be sure that I am ready for that time. So what we do, we sit up a little timber every day, preparing for those days when I can just draw down that timber and go to sleep. Sleep like a baby, because that's God's work. It's nothing I can do to stop God's work. I just need to have myself together. And here we go. Thank you, Deacon. With this, no escape. Prove it right there. What he said. There's no escape. So where can I run to? Where can I go? Nowhere, because there's no escape. What he telling them? Nahum, I want you to tell him. There's no escape from me. How do you know? Because he is brother. What does that mean? He is everywhere. When? All the time. So if God everywhere all the time, where you gonna run to? You can't run to the mountain. Let me get this in. Get out. Come here.
This family went under their house. They said, they come on thing, when they come under the house, the whole house was on thing else, the foundation, they got saved by being under the house. They crawled under the house, you know, the whole town was gone, everything. Other them got saved, but they were in the middle of the room, in the middle of the hall. When they opened the door, everything was done saved, they were, but you know, God got all power. And they want to say, oh, she kept saying, Lord, don't take it, Lord, don't fail. And when she come out of that door, there's nothing, there was no out, just that one little power they thing. See, I'm saying, yeah, I know how she feels, because I was in every on
that's what we got to do. We got to believe that God has all power. Even inside the house, if God wants you, God can get you because God is everywhere. So he has all power. And this topic right here says what? No escape. What do we mean reading about the first one says no escape?
The Lord hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet.
He has his way. Even in the whirlwind, God has his way. What does it mean? That means if you're in a whirlwind and God say, I'm gonna protect you, you in the wind and God still gonna what? Protect you. If it means that he gonna set you from right here over there. Isn't that protection? You out in that storm. All you gotta do is just what? Believe that God can do what he said he can do. God has not failed yet. So if I am a Christian, I'm supposed to do what? I'm supposed to believe and trust God gonna do what he said he gonna do. He hadn't failed yet. And then say, even in the storm, what we had storm? And God still protect you in the storm. I told you last year was a tree fell out of the house and I never seen it. The tree turned all the way around and didn't fall on the house. Now who did that? When I woke up this morning and saw the tree, I know that tree gonna fall on the house. That tree turned a whole different direction. Can nobody lift God? I'm laying in the house sleeping. And look what God doing. God is doing his thing. So when God does his thing, you need to take your thing out of the way and let God have his way. Because he's going to do it with or without you. God can do it. I see Miss Tracy again. Come on, Miss Tracy.
One time, when son pastor was saying he had been down with he said he was coming back this way. My daughter, she had she was supposed to get off at a certain time, but it was much later when she got off. And I was watching the weather. The tornado was coming to us. And so when she told her, she said, Mom, she said, it's so much rain or wind blowing so hard, she said, I can't see it. I said, well, get your flashes on. Keep moving. So when she got to before she got to the ship, she said, I still can't hardly see nothing. And I said, well, just keep your flashes on, keep driving. Well, the tornado went back
Mhm.
Pastor said he was on the road, Pastor didn't know, she was in front of her, and he was behind her.
Uh-huh.
She couldn't see, but I told her, just keep your glasses on. And there was a lady, he said, that's her, I never did tell him. She was on that same road that my lady went back around, and went back instead of coming. When she got to the sign where it says, Clarksdale, she said, well, it was a light on the sign, when I got ready to turn and I could see the road. I said, baby, there's no road. So I told her, I said, the Holy Spirit, God did it back, I'm not telling you, but so she could understand that it had nothing to do with her.
Uh-huh.
God protected you.
Who did it? That's what the song said. Who did it? God did it. God protected you. All you got to do is have what? Have faith. How much faith do I need to have? That's a gram of mustard. That's everything. That's the smallest seed you can have. That's the kind of faith you got to have. If you have that faith, God will protect you. What it told us right here, that. Then it say, the next week, what's 6 else?
Who can stand before his indignation, and who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him.
Now, look what it says. Who can stand in the indignation? What does that mean? Who can stand in the wrath of God? Can anybody stand in the wrath of God? No one can stand in the wrath of God when it says indignation. And then it says, who can abide by his spirit? There's no one. And his anger, the spirit is poured out like fire. I know it poured out like fire. Go right back to what? Solomon poured out like fire. Did it pour out like fire? That's the spirit that God put on it. When it do, it says, come like fire. And who can stop it? And then it said, the rocks. Anyone, the rocks. Now go back to what we're saying. Where are you going to run to? That's what song said. Where are you going to run to? Where are you going to hide? And what it says, no place. Right here. You can't go to the rocks because they are moving. You can't go to the mountains because they are moving. So where are you going to run to? You can't go to the trees because they're going to be destroyed. So where are you going to run to? Who can stop God's wrath when it comes? No one. That's that question right there. When God brings his wrath, there's no escape. No matter where you run to, God sees you. No matter where you go, God sees you. So if God sees all that, where am I going? I'm going nowhere except go to who? Go to God. He told Nahum, tell him, Nahum, there's nowhere you can run. I let you stay here 100 years to try to do right. Then here I come. When I'm coming, there's nowhere you can go. You can't go to the king because the king is just like you. You can't go to the mountain. You can't go to the trees. You can't even go to a rock. So where are you going to hide? Where are you going to run when Jesus comes? No place. The question right there is that just simple. There's no place to run when God comes down his wrath. If you don't believe it, think about old Jezebel when she had them 400 prophets. What he told them to do? He told them to do what they had to do. And what he did, he prayed up to God and what came down? The fire came down, and what did it do? It destroyed those Baal. Remember how it destroyed Baal? Who did it? Where did the fire come from? The fire came from heaven because God had that power. Oh, Jezebel thought she was something. False prophets thought they were something. But what happened? When God sent that fire down, it destroyed all of it. That just lets you know the power of God. No, God is so much high that he don't need any help from none of us. He don't need your help with nothing. God has our power. You don't need to get in God's way. Let God go ahead. And the next reader, what does it tell us?
The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knoweth them that trust in him.
God is what now? He's good. I hear him say, when is he good? All the time. Supposing that you woke up this morning and God wasn't good, what would happen? She said you wouldn't wake up. Supposing you wake up and God wasn't good, what would happen? What happened? You fall in breakfast. Supposing you wake up and God wasn't good, he wouldn't allow you to come out this morning. Suppose you wake up and God wasn't good, he wouldn't even let you have your right mind. Isn't that right? Supposing God was not good and just let old Satan come in and take over your life like you do. But God is so good that he don't allow things. He'll let it come like the preacher said this morning about Job. Job was a good man, but what did God do? He let that came on him. Why? He knows Job. He tests Job Even though he knew Job, he put this test. People know that, look, if I put it on Job, what can I do for you? Same for you. He told him right here, I can save you. Even that old city of Nineveh, we talk about old Nineveh right here, the worst city in the world. He told him, I want you to go there because there are some people there I want you to save. How do you know that? God said, go there and do what I tell you to do. What is told us like that there? Then, Rita, what is that next one tell us?
But with an overrunning flood, he will make an utter end of the place thereof, and darkness shall pursue his enemies.
What is he talking about, overrunning flood? He's talking about when he destroyed Nineveh, that flood gonna be from bank to bank. The water, the overrunning flood, when he destroyed, it's gonna be nothing left there. The overrunning flood coming up there. So if he's saying that I'm gonna destroy it, tell them there's nowhere you can go. You go to the water gonna take the whole city. When you read about what happened to Nineveh, because of their wickedness, we know what Jonah didn't want to go there because of their wickedness. But God told him, I want you to go there anyhow. And right here he tells Nahum, you tell Nahum, this is what will happen. God is telling him. Now if somebody tell you something, what are you supposed to do like that? And you know that God telling you, you know you're gonna do it. You're supposed to listen. I tell my wife all the time. If you tell somebody there's a rattlesnake down there bite everybody, and you go on down, that's who follows that. Yeah. But what people say, well, it's not gonna bite me. Wait a minute. It's just been everybody before you. Why not you? But that's the way we think. So he told Nahum, tell him what's coming. And if you don't listen, this is how it's gonna be. So that's what Nahum told him right there in that verse. I'm gonna tell you what God said. I'm not telling you what I said. And then it said the overrunning flood, we just said that, and the darkness. What is darkness? Darkness is that weight that we carry. What weight do we carry on us? We carry that burden, which is nothing but what? Sin. Sin is darkness. The truth is the light. When you carry sin, you carry a lot of darkness on you. But what is Jesus? Jesus is the light of the world. So if Jesus is the light of the world, you need to get rid of that darkness and get into the light. He's telling them all the stuff that you've done, everything that you've done. If you just listen to my prophet, I'm gonna fix it. But all you gotta do is what? Listen to what he tells you to do. That's one of our main things. What's our problem? We don't want to listen. We don't even want to listen to the preacher. When the preacher's preaching, what do we do? Let me see. Deacon said we're on our phone. Some of us hushing somebody on the side. Some of us got a good conversation about what we done last night. Some of us talking about what we done last week. Now today, somebody gonna be on their phone talking about what they got for Christmas. So what are we doing? We are not listening to the word of God. He don't say that. He said, listen, Nahum, I want you to tell them. I told you, sometimes we listen. How do we listen when we hear? We listen with our ears, but we hear from God with our heart. What do? We do more listening than we hear. We listen all the time, but we don't hear no time. When God speaks, you need to hear him. He wants you to hear, and he connects you through the heart. God will connect you like we connect you. Our problem that we don't want to listen to God. He told Nahum, you tell them what I say. Now it's going to be up to them to do what he said. And then that question says, if you don't have a question, the other question. What are some specific ways that our efforts to promote justice and evangelism should be effective by serving of God's church? How can we promote justice and evangelism? How do we promote justice? By telling the truth and by treating everybody equally, by treating everybody right. That's how we promote equal justice. Why should we promote equal justice? Because we say we are a child of who? God. Because we say we are Christian. And what does that Christian mean? Christ-like. What does that mean? Christ sees everybody just as they are. Jesus said the same. So that's how we promote equal justice. As you know now, they always talk about justice. That we have unequal justice. We always have unequal justice. But what is it? God will make justice right. How does he do that? Because God is right. And say God is justice. Those Christians said, look at that. God does all that. So how can we do it as a Christian? By treating everybody right. But what we do, we pick out certain people that we're going to treat right. And then we say we are equal, and we are also say we are what? We are a child of God. I haven't read that. When I read about Jesus, he said he went to the people that nobody wanted. Look what they said. Why? Oh, Sadducees, so why would Jesus be up there talking to people? If he's so much, if he's a child of God, why he want to be in that house with them folks like that? Why you go to a hospital? Because you're sick. Why was God with those people? Because they were sick in sin. That's what God do. So if you're sick in sin, you need somebody. I don't go to the doctor to sit down and talk. I go to the doctor because I am sick. So God said, if you're sick, I am a doctor for the sick. Right there, he's telling you. You're a sick nation. Why are you so sick? Because you make a God. Think about it. You make a God. Then you turn around and worship that God. What sense is that? I make me a God. I make me a statue. Then I turn around and praise that statue. Didn't they do that? Don't we still do that today? We know different. So we got opportunity to change things, but what do? We still stay the same. That's what I see we promote justice. You promote justice by being right to everybody. No little eyes, no small you. And then, since there's no escape from God, and we know God is a jealous God, and the third part says condemnation and vindication. Now, you don't do what I say. This is a condemnation. But I can't vindicate you. That's if you do what he tells you to do. He told Nahum to tell him all these good things, Nahum. All they had to do was just listen and hear what Nahum told them, because this was the third one he sent. He had sent already to promote them. We talking about the southern kingdom now. Who was in that southern kingdom? These were people, Judah. Do you remember when they split the two kingdoms? Israel, north, Judah, the southern kingdom. The same one that he said, he'll be all right here. And there, reader, what did it tell us?
Thus said the Lord, though they be quiet and likewise many, yet thus shall they be cut down when he shall pass through. Though I have afflicted thee, I will afflict thee no more.
Look, you have a lot of people there. But what happened? Now, who he talking about? He talking about the city of Nineveh. Remember, Nineveh was this beautiful city. They had a lot of people there. But I'm going to show you when the angels pass through, I'm going to afflict them. Now, you don't want God to do that because he letting you know. Nineveh, I want you to tell you. I know there's a lot of them. I know there's a king. But think about this king. I'm the king of this king. So I want you to tell me this, that when the angels pass through, and put this affliction upon them. And then he said, once that happened, I'm talking about my people. My people that's in that place, I'm not putting no affliction upon them. I'm going to let them go. But you got to be one of God's people in order to do that. If you just like that, the same folks, this is what's going to happen. When the angels pass through, think about that night. When you talk about when the angels pass through, what happened? When you go back to Moses, when he told Pharaoh, what angel passed through that night? That devil angel. Who did he get? He got all the firstborn that didn't have what on the door. Didn't have the blood on the. Who that passed? That's the devil angel. So he telling them that same thing happened way back. It's coming again. I'm going to come through again. I'm going to send my angels through that time. But if you write with me, don't worry about it. That's a good thing. When you write with God, you have nothing to worry about. But what is the major problem? We are not right with God. You know, we are such a pretender. I pretend to be a Christian. I pretend to be saved. But when you get through with it, everything you pretend is all wrong with God. You just what you said. You're pretending. Most of the time, we are just like the actor. What are we doing? We playing a role. Do you know actors play role? What we play a role. I play a role that I'm so saved and I'm so sanctified. But I tell you one thing. If you cross my path, what's going to happen to my sanctified? I'm going to lay it down. And when I lay it down, I'm going to tell you a few good things. And as the pastor said, when I get to tell you about a few good things, then I'm going to pick up again. He said, River got it going. Now, I didn't say that. He said that. But that's all right. But what we got to do is stop pretending. God don't want no pretenders. God wants people that is for real. He told Nahum to tell us him. Nahum tell him, this is for real what I'm saying. You don't believe it, go back to Solomon and go out. And then he said that. Real? What the next tell us?
For now will I break this yoke from off thee, and will burst thy bonds in sunder.
Read the next one too.
Behold upon the mountains the feet of him that bringeth good tidings, that publisheth peace. O Judah, keep thy solemn feast, perform thy vows, for the wicked shall no more pass through thee. He is utterly cut off.
First I can tell you, I'm going to take that yoke off you. What yoke did they have on them? They had the yoke because they was in Nineveh. He told them, I'm going to take this off you. When I take that yoke off you, we said, yoke last week, what they put on the ox. When they put on the ox, you work an ox all day with that yoke on. What was that? That's the heavy weight. So he telling you, if you take this heavy weight, which is the eye of God, if you take it off you, I'm going to protect you. But you got to do that. Take all that heavy weight off you. Take that burden off you. If you take that burden off you and believe in me, I'm going to protect you and I'm going to take care of you. It says the bird he's going to take care of you. Just like you were before you got under there. But you got to believe that God will do exactly what you said. Nahum, since this is about Nahum, told him, you got to believe what I tell you. Because what I'm telling you comes from who? From God. This was a prophet that God showed him that vision to go down there. Because we know Jonah went down there. But God said go down there. Now, when you do this here, I'm going to bring you out. When I bring you out, those same people, when it said, oh, Judah, keep the solemn feast, perform thy vow. What was thy vow? Trust, believe in God. Keep the vow that you made. You remember when you made a vow back in the land? I want you to keep them same vow. If you did your forefather make a vow, I want you to keep them vows. If you keep the vow that you made to me, I'm going to do the same thing for you that I did them. I'm going to deliver you, just like I delivered them. And then he told them that the wicked shall no more pass. What is it? I'm going to take away. And when you read that there, what happened? God destroyed Nineveh. God destroyed Assyria. Why? Because they did not do what God said. And he did exactly what he said. God don't play. If he said it, my teller said all the time, he said it, he's going to do it. That's what it says there. And he did it. When you read this thing about Assyria and Nineveh, he did exactly what he said. He destroyed them. Why? Because they did not want to do what God said. Jonah told God in the beginning, if he go down there, I know what you're going to do. You're going to release him. I want you to go ahead and strike. You remember he said Jonah got up there and looked at him? Jonah got looked. I'm waiting on God to go ahead. Since God did it, Jonah got mad. Because Jonah knew those folks were so wicked. But God said, Jonah, I still want you to go there. Because there's somebody that can be saved. And those ones to be saved, that's who I want you to come out. Come out. Bring the one that's saved. But the one that doesn't want to be saved, that will stay right there. Because when I come, I'm going to take care of him. There's no place for them to go, so why should I worry about it? And then, if you have nothing, well, here's the question. The question says, I like what it says. Why is Nahum's message relevant to address the injustice and humane condition that exists today? Do we have the same problem today? And injustice? When you say injustice, what are you talking about? Not being treated fairly. Do I have to look at somebody else, the other race, to get injustice? We get injustice from our own people. You do injustice among your own children. So you don't have to look at somebody else for your downfall. You know what I like about us? We always want to point the finger at the other person. And we can't see that we're doing the same thing too. So how can we do some of that injustice? This question want to know, how can you address this injustice? We go right back to saying who we are. We are a child of God. Injustice means you're going to treat everybody. That's injustice. When you begin to do that, and you say, take that vow that you are a child of God, that you are a Christian, then you're going to begin to see like God saw, see the right path. That's what I read about. When I began to read this thing here about Nahum, that's all Nahum messing for. Telling them folks to come out and trust and believe in God. Now, it's stupid. Don't have anything else. Well, You know, I had to do it. I had to go all the way down to Smithville, Mississippi. Yeah, Smithville. And bring somebody here with us. Since we know what this yesterday was, I had to go to Smithville and call these folks up. And when I went there and called them up, I believe this is what they said in Smithville.
Come on, clap your hands, guys. Jesus to behold.
Oh, Mary, did you know? We were talking about yesterday, we were talking about what? Jesus. What's this thing all about? Jesus. That's what said, oh, Mary, did you know that son that you brought up, what he gonna do? He gonna be the conqueror of the world. Oh, Mary, did you know that he gonna take our sins away? Tell me, God is good. Didn't he tell Nathan to tell him that? And what happened? Seemed like they didn't know. But that's all right. We got a chance to know. Since we do that, you know my next step. Take my seat.